Hey everyone, welcome to the channel, especially if you're new, welcome. Here we're going to give a Movies Monthly. It's the end of the month here of April 2023, so I'm going to, in the Movies Monthly, what we do is we look back over the previous month. I do a tier list of all the movies that I saw in theaters for the month, and then kind of ranking them that way. And then I go over any films or TV that I watched at home that weren't in theaters, just to share with you the sort of stuff that I like to watch. And then I go over any soundtracks that I listen to that I think are worth recommending. And second to last, we look at any new Steelbooks that I picked up. You can see those, the Steelbooks on the wall behind me, so anytime I get new ones, I like to share those with you all. And then finally, I look ahead to the upcoming month. In this case, it's May 2023, and discuss what I'm looking forward to most. So with that, let's dive on into this Movies Monthly for April 2023. Alright, so first up we are going to do a tier list of all the movies I saw in theaters for the month of April, and this actually is a fairly long list. I think there's 14, if I counted correctly, that I saw this month. So a lot to fit in here, and we're going to go through one by one. I give each of these a letter grade on my initial review, and then sometimes it might change by the end of the month once I kind of have a little bit more time. So I think it is interesting. Definitely check out any of these. I've got full reviews for each of them posted on the channel. But this is just a quick thought, my quick thoughts on the film and just generally where it goes. I think we have a couple that actually changed letter grades for me over the course of the month. Mainly just seeing other films kind of put it in perspective of mainly what it takes to get into the A tier for me. A is like one that I'm talking about, like going out of my way in conversation to bring up and like really stand out as films. I haven't given an S yet this year. I think I had 3 last year total. Those are some very, very special films that it takes to get into that. That's like my all-time favorites sort of a movie that it takes to get to masterpiece level. But yeah, A is I had to kind of reconsider that one. So B is kind of a wide category. That's one that I at least enjoy, and then worse than that, we get into the C and D. But anyway, that's a disclaimer because I know a couple of these will change letter grades now that I've had a little bit more time to look back and see how much they might stand out now in comparison to when I first saw them. But first up, we have 1001. This was just a really interesting film. It was pretty it's a drama. It's not necessarily like the most entertaining or fun. It's a very serious film, but I think it's like really well done. I really like the characters and the music as well. I think I initially gave this an A, and I think it is a really important story to tell. I think that's the one of the main reasons. I think it was done very well. But for me, it's very, very good. It's very high B tier. But I think as time goes on, it's a little less memorable for me personally, although I think some people will absolutely enjoy this and it might be more of an A for them. But this one gets a good. We're going to fill these right to left so that way at the end I'm going to rank them within the tiers, but not do that as we go. Next up, we have Dungeons and Dragons. This was just like absolute fun for me. I saw it with a friend, and we both have played D&D, so we got a lot of the references. I think it's the sort of film that would be fun if you haven't played D&D, but especially if you have. It felt like it was made by people who loved the game, and they just captured what it's like to play D&D, but in the format of a film. So this one, again, is a really high B. I think, yeah, it's not quite great territory, but it's really good in my opinion. Next up, we have Air. This was a fun film. I think it was pleasant. It didn't do anything to absolutely wow me, but it was a solid B. I think it was an interesting story to learn about, and the acting and the characters are pretty good all around. So that one's a B. Up next, we have Renfield. I thought I would like this one a lot more than I did, but it just ended up being a little too silly for me and a little too over the top without like a great story or characters to back it up. I think it has its nice elements, but overall it was just fine for me. And then we have The Pope's Exorcist. This was a horror film that I actually liked as much as I think I can horror. In and of itself, I don't like horror. I don't really like being scared, but if it's coupled with an interesting movie, interesting characters, or an interesting story on top of that, then I think that's what it takes for me to like a horror film. And I think this does that. It wrapped in a good amount of like lore and like story to the plot and like what we see, and I found that really interesting. So most of these, I feel like a lot of these I ended up doing spoiler reviews for, so definitely check out my full thoughts in those individually. But that was a good horror film in my opinion. Suzume, this just felt like a very classic film. And it didn't feel super nuanced for that. It just felt like a sort of film that you'd grow up watching and absolutely love as a kid, and just felt like a classic. So that means since it's not that nuanced, it didn't quite do enough to get into the great category for me. But it was really good. I enjoyed it quite a bit. And then we have the Super Mario Brothers movie. This, very similar to Dungeons and Dragons. It was just a film that had it was very good, like, production quality and things like that, but it was made by people who love the games and made it for people who love the games. And they absolutely captured just a lot of fun in this film. It doesn't have the best story or the best, like, most in-depth characters, but it's just a lot of fun, and it's made for people who like Mario or just want to go on a ride. It feels like a ride at the end of the day, and I think that's what the movie needed to be. The Covenant, this was, of the Guy Ritchie films that I've seen, this was like the least Guy Ritchie, but I thought it was still a good film. So I think if you're going in expecting a Guy Ritchie film, you're probably going to be disappointed, but I liked the story that it had to tell and the characters that we got to see on screen. So it held my interest and was one that I was happy to see. Next up, we have Beau is Afraid. This is a film that I did not like. I didn't really, I think... Well, I disliked it so much I'm not going to watch it again, but I think if I had realized it's supposed to be a movie that's just capturing basically a nightmare, and it's not necessarily supposed to make like sense, and it's not real, that's at least my takeaway on it, I think I might have disliked it less. But I absolutely disliked this movie. It was just very stressful watching it, seeing this character who's afraid of a lot of stuff and like just bad stuff happening to him. It was just hard to sit through. I wanted to leave kind of multiple times throughout, and yeah, like I feel like if you're gonna have a film be stressful, it needs to have moments where it's not stressful intermixed with that, and this film didn't give us that. I felt like it didn't really make any sense, and for me to sit through something that's stressful, it kind of needs to make sense. There needs to be a clever story or something in there, and that's not what I got in this film. I think it's probably something a lot of people would like, but just not one that I cared for. Evil Dead Rise, I think, is a great horror film, but there isn't a whole lot of depth there. So for me, it was just fine. It, I think, does all the horror stuff great, but it didn't have super interesting stuff beyond that as far as story or characters. How to Blow Up a Pipeline, this I think I originally gave an A. Even like a few days removed, I feel like this isn't one that I'm going to actively go out of my way to recommend. I think it is really good, and there's a lot of good elements in it. I like how it's paced and how the story's told, but I think at the end of the day it's just really good, but doesn't quite break into that great category. Sisu is just fine. This is just an action movie about a guy killing Nazis. There's not a whole lot of depth to it. Thus, I found it to be just fine. Plus, the action's not all that good, and it's supposed to be an action film. I don't know. If you want to go see somebody be a badass and kill Nazis, then that's what you're going to get, and this is the movie for you. Chevalier, I initially gave an A. I'm kind of between an A and a B on it. I think... Yeah, I'm like, having demoted a couple from the A category, like How to Blow Up a Pipeline or 1001, I think Chevalier is one that stands out to me a bit more, with it being like a period piece and just getting to learn about somebody who is erased from history just because of the color of his skin, which is something that happens all the time, but actually getting to experience that story with it and it having had been lost, I think is really good. I think it's very low A category for Chevalier. I really like it. I like that it's music focused. Anything that has good music and is about music, I'm a sucker for. So that's the main reason. I think it's subjectively in the A category for me. I think for most people, it's probably just a B. But I think, yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't know. I just saw that one yesterday. I feel like I might change my mind in like a month. But Polite Society, I just saw today, and this one is absolutely an A. I had so much fun with this. It is the standout of the month, in my opinion. And yeah, it's just a really well-crafted movie that was so much fun to see. So let's rank these tier by tier. I'm also like, for things like whether or not it should go in one tier or the other, it's hard when the lines get very close, and so I generally try to go with, if it's clear it should be in a category, if it's not, then maybe go the next one under. But I also like seeing a few more movies in the A category, but I think it helps. I didn't used to rank these, kind of top to bottom in the tier like we're doing now. So I think that helps, especially to show which ones are higher Bs versus lower As or higher As and stuff like that. In the C category, I'd probably take Renfield, and then that one's the highest, and then Evil Dead Rise, and then Sisu. And then in the B category, I think I would probably go How to Blow Up a Pipeline, and then 1001. And then I'd probably actually take Dungeons and Dragons. That was just a lot of fun. And then for me personally, well, I think Suzume is a better movie than Mario. Let's get some of these further down. Then probably, I don't know, I had a lot of fun with Mario. I'll put it higher up here. And then Air, and then The Covenant, and then The Pope's Exorcist. So these ones are definitely high B. I would consider putting those in the A category. I think anything below Dungeons and Dragons is a solid B, and the Pope's Exorcist, I think, is like a lower B. Polite Society is my favorite of the month, though. That's a high A, and Chevalier, I think, squeaks into the A category. But that's my ranking, though, and tier list of the films. I think last year I had 3 in Masterpiece. I think if I don't have any by the end of the year, I might go back and bump some up, but it has to be really clear at the time when I see it, like, oh, this is going to be a favorite movie. I might consider putting Polite Society in the S tier. It was just that fun of a movie, but I don't think so. We've had a few other better films this year. I think it's just a really solid A, but yeah, we'll see if we get an S. I don't know. It's been a while. I think my last S was Top Gun last year. So we didn't get any S's the second half of the year. Actually, no, I take that back. Till was an S. Yeah, I had 4 S's last year, not 3. And Till was the 4th, and the one in the second half. The other 3 were like The Batman, Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Top Gun Maverick. So those are just ones that I absolutely love. That's a very subjective category. I mean, it's all a subjective list, but if you have a favorite movie of the month of April, I'd love to hear it down below, or your full list, or maybe a top few. Share your thoughts in the comments below. I love hearing what everyone else is seeing and what they're liking. So all right. So with that, we move into what I've been watching at home in the month of April. This is TV and shows, or movies and TV. I haven't finished any TV. I've been keeping up on like The Good Doctor and A Million Little Things, but it's just been movies this month. So I watched Groundhog Day. I think this was the second time I saw this film. I think it's a solid B. It's a funny film and worth the watch. Oops, not sure what's going on there. But I think it's more popular than I think it is good, but yeah. And then moving on, I decided to rewatch in January, I rewatched the first 3 Mission Impossible films, and then in preparation for Death Reckoning Part 1 that comes out in July, I wanted to rewatch the other 3. So these I've seen before, but yeah, I wanted to get the rewatch going into the 7th one that's coming out. And I think 4, 5, and 6 are much better than 1, 2, and 3 for the Mission Impossible franchise. But I think Ghost Protocol is a great film. I remember that was like the second Mission Impossible film I saw after the first one, and I saw it in theaters, and it was a lot of fun. I think it's kind of stereotypical with like Stop the Nuke, but I really like the characters and the team dynamic, and I think it's a great film. Absolutely recommend it. Same thing with Rogue Nation. That one is a great film. Absolutely loved it. I don't think I saw this one in theaters though, but I'd forgotten that Jeremy Renner was in both of these, And I don't know, I like him a lot as an actor, and I like the teams. I like that Benji sticks around, and I don't know, it seemed like with the first couple they were mixing up the team a lot more, but it's nice to see them kind of settle in and see people return a bit more in the second half of the series. I think Mission Impossible Fallout is a masterpiece. I absolutely love this film. Like, every aspect of it. The stunts are great. The cinematography is great. I love the music. It's just a very well put together film, paced perfectly, I think. And rewatching it this time, I think it's a masterpiece. I'm pretty sure it's my favorite spy film, or very, very close to. I think it is my favorite, though. I absolutely love the end sequence, though. Like, the helicopter chase in IMAX, it just looks great. Especially, like, I've got a 4K projector set up at home for my home theater, and those scenes are just, you can't beat that. So they put in, like, quality. They used quality cinematography for that, and it really helps, I think. I watched Army of Darkness. I hadn't seen this before, not that I really remember, but I got it for my brother and sister-in-law gave it to me for my birthday, the Steelbook that's on the wall. I don't know if we can see it. We might be able to. I don't know. But it's on the wall behind me somewhere. And I think it's out of frame here. But given that it's on the wall, it's a really cool case, and I really like the artwork. I'm like, I should check it out. It was fine. I think that's my personal enjoyment of it. I see why it's like a classic, and probably for its time it was a little bit better. I think the fact that they use practical effects, I think helps it hold up over time. But I'm not huge into horror, and I don't know. It's just not the movie that really appeals to me. It was fun enough, but not one that I would necessarily recommend. And then Black Widow, this was my second time seeing the film. I think it's a good film. I think it on rewatch it wasn't all that memorable when it came out. I think I was maybe a little disappointed that it wasn't better than it was, but I think it's a lower B. I like the characters that they have in it, especially Florence Pugh as, I think it's, I forget her character's name. I want to say Elena, but I might be confusing that with I'm also watching Orphan Black right now, and I know that's one of the identities of the character in that. But I should know that name, though. As a Marvel fan, I'm a little embarrassed. But I really like her, and I'm excited to see her in Marvel going forward. And I don't know, I like the theme of, like, family, and family is more than just blood and things like that. So I thought it ended up being a good film. I really liked the cinematography. Like, I think they actually went to some of the places where they shot, and it wasn't just green screened, and that really comes across well in it. But if you've been watching stuff at home and have anything to recommend of what I watched this last month, I think, Fallout is the best thing. Definitely top of the list. If you haven't seen that, I highly recommend it. And I think the whole Mission Impossible franchise is a really good franchise, and I hope the new one that comes out in a couple months is that it does well and that it's a good movie. But that's what I watched in the month of April. So for soundtracks in the month of April, I didn't listen to a whole lot of new things, but I did listen to Dungeons and Dragons and 1001 and A Good Person. Those are all ones that I recommend. I definitely saved a few songs from each to, like, my favorites playlist. I think Dungeons and Dragons wasn't, like, the most thematic of the soundtrack, but it really fit the film and was, like, nice overall. I also, 1001, it kind of reminded me a bit of the soundtrack from King Richard. And then I thought, A Good Person as well was well done. John Wick Chapter 4, I was a little disappointed in. I don't think I saved any songs from it. Maybe one, but I really like the other soundtracks in the franchise, so this one just didn't really stand out. I think it still works with the film, but it wasn't super memorable, so that one was just kind of fine. But not as many soundtracks this month, but that's what I've been listening to that's new. If you've listened to any new soundtracks and want to recommend them down in the comments below, I love hearing, like, what other people like, and if there's a soundtrack that I haven't listened to that's good, that's somehow off my radar, I love hearing about it. So leave your thoughts in the comments below. So in this section, I'm going to show the new Steelbooks that I got this month. I don't think I had any in the month of March, but I have 2 for the month of April. And the first one, I got this off of eBay. and it now completes my set. I have the other 3 in the series, but this is The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2. So that's the front artwork. I've been kind of wanting to get this for a while, and that's the back. So it's pretty standard, not overly impressive, but I mainly just wanted to finish out the set. And then, per suggestion from my brother, I've kind of been forgetting to do this. I haven't been showing the inside artwork on these things. So with that, we're going to take a look here and see on the inside we've got, we'll see if I can, there we go, get the glare out of there. The artwork on that's okay as well. Again, I think it's a pretty average steelbook, but again, I definitely like sets to be complete, so that is nice to finally have. And then this one, I love this steelbook. This is the Woman King. I love the artwork on this. It's, I think, going to look really great on the wall. That's the back of it. And then, yeah, if we look on the inside, I don't know that I've looked at the inside yet. I just opened this today, even though it came a couple weeks ago. But I absolutely love this film. It was an A for me. I think it was a high A last year as well. But on the inside here, I'm excited to watch again. Again, pretty standard on the inside, not overly artistic, but that's okay. The front looks really nice. So I'm excited to have this steelbook and to get it up on the wall. So yeah, you'll see these now in the background. I don't have them up yet, but around here. The new ones kind of go over my shoulder on the right and the left side. So 2 of those will be coming down as these 2 go up with this month. So those are my new steelbooks for the month of April. And then lastly, we have what am I looking forward to in the upcoming month of May. And first and foremost, I'm looking forward to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I am a huge Marvel fan, but last year was kind of a disappointment, I would say, for Marvel films overall. I think all of them came below my expectations, and then Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania has been the same. So I've been kind of lowering my expectations for this film, although I am still excited. I know the Guardians are kind of their own thing and not as well connected to the rest, so I'm curious to see how James Gunn does with this 3rd and final film before he says goodbye to Marvel and is at DC. But that one comes out at the beginning of the month. I'm looking forward to that one. Fast 10 or Fast X, I think it's Fast 10. This one, I think the trailers look fine. It doesn't look completely over the top, but I enjoy the Fast and Furious movies. It's not like my favorite franchise, but they're usually fun, and I'm looking forward to this one. And then The Little Mermaid, I think that'll be a really big movie. I'm sure it'll do very well at the box office. And yeah, I'm interested to see the live action interpretation of this film. So I like a good musical. I'm curious to see if they got any new music for this one, or if it's just going to be a pretty faithful remake to the animated one. So we'll see. And those are the main 3. I think there's a variety of other movies, maybe smaller movies coming out as well that aren't on my radar yet. So if you have anything that you're looking forward to, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Let me know. Are you fans of these franchises, or are they ones that you don't really care about? Love to hear it. And with that wraps up our Movies Monthly. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next month.